Have you ever felt it? That invisible current in a room is the one that tells you something just shifted, even if you don't know what or why. Maybe you were in a meeting at work. You shared an idea, a brilliant one, and it was met with silence. A week later, you watch as a colleague presents that same idea, your idea, to thunderous applause, and a promotion. And you're left sitting there with that hot, sinking feeling in your stomach. Part betrayal, part confusion. You wonder, what did I do wrong? I did the good work. I was honest. Or maybe it wasn't a boardroom. Maybe it was a friendship where you felt you were always giving and they were always taking, and somehow you ended up feeling small. Or a relationship where you poured your heart out, only to have your vulnerability used against you later. We're taught that the world is a fair place, that if you're kind, if you're honest, if you work hard, you'll be rewarded. But our life experience, it often tells us a different story. It tells us that there are unspoken rules to the game of life. Rules that some people seem to know instinctively, while the rest of us are left stumbling in the dark, wondering why our best intentions keep leading to painful outcomes. What if you could see those rules? What if you could finally understand the hidden motives and the subtle strategies that shape our everyday interactions? What if you could protect yourself, not with armor, but with understanding? That question, that feeling of being one step behind, is why we're here. There is a map for this hidden territory of human dynamics, a guide that pulls back the curtain on the quiet and sometimes ruthless mechanics of how people gain influence and protect themselves. This map is a book called The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. This book has a reputation. It's been called cynical, a manipulator's handbook, even amoral. And if you simply read the titles of its laws, you might agree. But that's like finding a book on anatomy and calling it a murderer's guide. This work isn't about becoming a tyrant. It's about understanding the reality of the world we live in, the world as it is, not as we wish it would be. It's a tool for observation, not just for action. It's a shield more than it is a sword. For me, this book wasn't about learning to control others. It was about learning to finally understand them. It gave a name to the dynamics I had felt my entire life but could never explain. It was the beginning of gaining power, not over people, but over my own naivety, over my own emotional reactions, and over my own destiny. The map is divided into 48 territories. 48 laws that have echoed through the halls of history for thousands of years. Laws of strategy, timing, and psychology. We will explore every single one, including Law 1, never outshine the master. Law 2, never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. Law 3, conceal your intentions. Law 4, always say less than necessary. Law 5, so much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. Law 6, court attention at all cost. Law 7, get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. Law 8, make other people come to you. Use bait if necessary. Law 9, win through your actions, never through argument. Law 10, infection, avoid the unhappy and unlucky. Law 11, learn to keep people dependent on you. Law 12, use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. Law 13, when asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude. Law 14, pose as a friend, work as a spy. Law 15, crush your enemy totally. Law 16, use absence to increase respect and honor. Law 17, keep others in suspended terror. Cultivate an air of unpredictability. Law 18, do not build fortresses to protect yourself. Isolation is dangerous. Law 19, know who you're dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person. Law 20, do not commit to anyone. Law 21, play a sucker to catch a sucker. Seem dumber than your mark. Law 22, use the surrender tactic. Transform weakness into power. Law 23, concentrate your forces. Law 24, play the perfect courtier. Law 25, recreate yourself. Law 26, keep your hands clean. Law 27, play on people's need to believe to create a cult-like following. Law 28, enter action with boldness. Law 29. Plan all the way to the end. Law 30. Make your accomplishments seem effortless. Law 31. Control the options. Get others to play with the cards you deal. Law 32. Play to people's fantasies. Law 33. Discover each man's thumbscrew. Law 34. Be royal in your own fashion. Act like a king to be treated like one. Law 35. Master the art of timing. Law 36. Disdain things you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge. Law 37. Create compelling spectacles. Law 38. Think as you like, but behave like others. Law 39. Stir up waters to catch fish. Law 40. Despise the free lunch. Law 41. Avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. Law 42. Strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. Law 43. Work on the hearts and minds of others. Law 44. Disarm and infuriate with the mere effect. Law 45. Preach the need for change, but never reform too much at once. Law 46. Never appear too perfect. Law 47. Do not go past the mark you aimed for. In victory, learn when to stop. Law 48. Assume formlessness. Each law is a key, a story, a warning, and a strategy. Some will resonate with you, others may disturb you. But all of them will make you see the world and the people in it with new eyes. So, let's begin this journey. Together, one law, one chapter at a time. Law 1. Never outshine the master. Our journey begins with the very first law, the foundation upon which so much else is built. We are raised on a simple and beautiful lie. Do your best. Shine as brightly as you can. We are taught that talent and hard work will always be rewarded. It's the story we tell our children, the one we tell ourselves as we pour our soul into a project, a presentation, a piece of art. But what happens when your light casts a shadow on someone else, specifically on the person who holds your fate in their hands? Your boss, your mentor, your patron? This law is not about being mediocre. It's about understanding a raw and dangerous human emotion: insecurity. A person in a position of power, the master, has a fragile ego. They need to feel secure, brilliant, and deserving of their station. Your talent, if displayed too brightly, doesn't feel like a gift to them. It feels like a quiet threat, an uncomfortable reminder of their own fading abilities, or a suggestion that you are more fit for their position than they are. It's not logical. It's not fair. It's simply human. Consider Nicolas Fouquet, the finance minister to the young king of France, Louis XIV, in the 17th century. Fouquet was brilliant, charming, and impossibly wealthy. To celebrate the completion of his magnificent chateau, he threw a party that would be remembered for centuries. The gardens were breathtaking. The food was legendary. The entertainment was himself. Every powerful person in Europe was there. The guest of honor was the young King Louis, as he walked through the gardens, more beautiful than his own, and witnessed a spectacle more grand than any he had ever commanded. He wasn't filled with gratitude. He was filled with a cold, burning knot of humiliation. Fouquet hadn't just hosted a party. He had demonstrated a superiority in taste, wealth, and style. He had outshone his master. The very next morning, Fouquet wasn't celebrated. He was arrested by the king's men. His wealth was seized, and he was charged with treason. Nicolas Fouquet would spend the last 20 years of his life in the kingdom's darkest, most isolated prison, because he forgot this one crucial law. You see this play out today. It's a brilliant subordinate who makes their boss feel obsolete. The gifted student whose insights make the professor feel challenged. You thought your dazzling performance would win you favor, but instead you are met with a strange coldness. Your projects get sidelined. You're mysteriously passed over for a promotion. The lesson is not to hide your talents, but to be a master of presentation. Make your master appear more brilliant than they are. When you have a good idea, attribute it to their wisdom. Publicly credit their guidance. Make it seem that your own talents are merely a reflection of their magnificent mentorship. Let them take the credit for your work to those above them. The sun gives life, but stare at it directly and it blinds you. Learn to be the moon, reflecting the sun's light, while quietly commanding the tides of power. Let them shine, and you will thrive in their orbit, free to move and plan in the shadows. Law 2. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. And so, you learn to navigate the delicate ego of the master. You build your alliances carefully. You look for people you can rely on, people who have your back. Naturally, you turn to your friends. This law feels like a betrayal in itself. It cuts against everything we hold dear about loyalty and companionship. But power is not a game of sentiment. It's a game of human nature. Think about it. You hire a friend, you are mixing two worlds. The world of emotion with the world of professional exchange. You expect honesty, but you soften the truth to avoid hurting their feelings. You expect hard work, but you let deadlines slide because of your shared history. And slowly, poison can seep in. Envy. Your friend, seeing your rise, your power, your success up close, can begin to feel a quiet resentment. They knew you when you were nothing. They feel they are just as deserving. And because you trust them, you are blind to the small acts of sabotage, the subtle betrayals, until it is too late. The wound they inflict is the deepest, because it comes from a place you never thought to guard. The Byzantine Emperor Michael III loved his friend Basilius. He raised him from a humble stable boy to the highest office in the land, making him emperor. He trusted him with everything: his secrets, his safety, his empire. He saw Basilius not as a subordinate, but as a brother. And one night that brother led a group of soldiers into the emperor's bedroom and murdered him as he slept, taking the throne for himself. Michael's trust was absolute, and his downfall was too. Now, consider the enemy. An enemy is a gift. You know exactly where they stand. There are no mixed signals. Well, watch your every move, which forces you to be flawless. They will pounce on any mistake, which forces you to be disciplined and prepared. A declared enemy is a constant, sharpening stone for your mind and your strategy. Robert Greene tells us that if you have no enemies, you should find a way to make them. Not through aggression, but by taking firm, decisive stances that will inevitably create opposition. This is not about creating conflict for its own sake. It is about clarifying who is with you, who is against you, and sharpening your own power in the process. Imagine you have an important task, a critical project. You could give it to a friend who will say yes with a smile and maybe get it done. You could give it to a former rival whom you have brought into your circle, someone who has something to prove to you. Who do you think will work harder? They'll be more dedicated to demonstrating their loyalty and skill. The friend works from a place of comfort. The former enemy works from a place of necessity. This law is not telling you to abandon your friendships. Cherish them. Keep them in that sacred space of personal connection. But in the world of power, in the arena of your career and your ambitions, be wary. Let professionalism, not personal history, be your guide. For your friends, you can offer warmth and companionship. But from your enemies, you can forge loyalty, competence, and a razor-sharp edge. Law 3. Conceal your intentions. You've learned to manage those above you and to be cautious with those beside you. Now, we turn inward. To your own words, your own plans, your own heart. What do you reveal? And what do you keep hidden? There is a deep human desire to be open, to share our dreams, our grand plans, our next moves. It feels good. It makes us feel important. And it can win us allies who believe in our vision. But this impulse is a strategic disaster. When you show your hand, you lose all advantage. People are like water. They will flow around any obstacle. If they know what you are trying to achieve, they can prepare. They can build defenses. They can lay traps. Can feign agreement while subtly sabotaging your path. Your predictability becomes their weapon against you. But if your true intentions are wrapped in mist, if your moves are ambiguous, people are left in a state of confusion. They cannot prepare. They're forced to react, to guess, to interpret your smoke signals. And in their confusion, you have the freedom to move. Think of Otto von Bismarck, the man who unified Germany in the 19th century. To his rivals, he often appeared scattered, emotional, and contradictory. He would talk of peace while secretly preparing for war. He would propose one path in public, only to be maneuvering down a completely different one in private. His opponents constantly misread him. They saw his rambling speeches as a sign of weakness, his conflicting statements as proof of his confusion. They relaxed their guard. so they made fatal miscalculations. By the time they realized that every one of his seemingly random moves was part of a single, brilliant, overarching plan to forge a German empire, it was already a reality. He had checkmated them before they even knew they were playing the same game. He was a master of the smokescreen. How do you apply this? Not by lying, but by being a master of misdirection. Talk about your goals, yes, but not your real goals. Dangle a decoy, a plausible, but false objective that you seem to be pursuing with passion. Your opponents will focus their energy there, trying to block you while you work unimpeded toward what you truly want. Use selective honesty. Tell a small truth that makes you seem open and transparent, which lulls people into a false sense of security. Behave in a way that is contrary to your true feelings. If you are angry, seem calm. If you are certain, feign doubt. This isn't about being dishonest for the sake of it. It's about protecting your long-term plans from the short-term interference of others. It's about understanding that the world is a giant chessboard. You don't help your opponent by telling them your next 5 moves. Keep people in the dark. Guide them through a fog of your creation. When the fog finally lifts, you will be standing exactly where you intended to be, while everyone else is still trying to figure out how you got there. Chapter 4. Law 4. Always say less than necessary. Concealing your intentions is a powerful start, but it requires a specific, difficult discipline. The discipline of the tongue. This brings us to a law that is simple to state, but a lifetime to master. The more you say, the more common you appear. The more you say, the higher the chance you will say something foolish, something compromising, something you will regret. Power is in many ways a game of appearances. A person who cannot control their own words is seen as someone who cannot control themselves. And a person who cannot control themselves can never control others. When you are silent, you create a vacuum. People become uncomfortable with silence. They rush to fill it with their own nervous chatter, their own interpretations, their own secrets. They will reveal their hand to you simply because you had the strength to hold yours. Your silence makes them feel judged, makes them want to explain themselves. Louis XIV was a master of this. His pronouncements were notoriously short and ambiguous. His silence was a tool of intimidation. Courtiers would spend weeks trying to decipher the meaning of a single sentence. That uncertainty kept them off balance, dependent, and terrified of displeasing him. Contrast this with the person in a meeting who thinks out loud, who rambles, who tries to show how smart they are by talking endlessly. They might get a moment of attention, but they lose all mystery. They expose their weaknesses, their half-baked ideas, their insecurities. Once the words are out, you cannot take them back. They are arrows shot into the world, and you no longer control their path. Practice this. In a negotiation, state your price and then be silent. Let the other side break first. In an argument, make your point concisely and then stop talking. Let your words hang in the air with weight. In conversation, learn to be a better listener than a speaker. You will be amazed at what people tell you, and you will be amazed at how much more powerful, profound, and intelligent you appear simply by saying less. Your words become like diamonds, rare, precious, and full of impact. Law 5. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. As you move through the world, cloaked in mystery and armed with deliberate silence, you are building something, whether you know it or not. Something intangible, but immensely powerful, your reputation. Reputation is the cornerstone of power. It's your shadow. It walks into the room before you do and speaks for you when you are absent, can magnify your strengths or highlight your weaknesses, can make people surrender before a battle is even fought. Think of it as a form of social currency. Strong reputation for honesty, for ruthlessness, for brilliance, for generosity precedes you and does half the work for you. People are cognitive misers. They don't want to judge you from scratch every time. They'll rely on the story they've heard about you. Consider the story of the great Chinese strategist, Zhuge Liang. He had a formidable reputation for being a brilliant and cunning tactician who never took a foolish risk. One day he found himself in a small town with only a few soldiers. When he learned that an enemy army of 150,000 was approaching, escape was impossible. Instead of preparing for a hopeless fight, Liang did something extraordinary. He ordered his men to open the city gates, hide, and he himself climbed atop the city wall, sat down, and began to calmly play his lute. When the enemy general Sima Ye arrived and saw this bizarre scene, he stopped his army. He knew Liang's reputation. It had to be a trap. Why else would he be so calm? Fearing an ambush, Sima Yi ordered a full retreat. Liang's reputation alone saved his city without a single sword being drawn. That is the power of reputation. You must build yours deliberately. Decide on the key quality you want to be known for: creativity, dependability, fearlessness, and then demonstrate it at every opportunity. And once built, you must guard it viciously. A single mistake, a single crack in the foundation can bring the entire structure down. Your rivals will attack your reputation first. They will spread rumors, highlight your failures, and try to redefine you in the public eye. Do not be passive in these attacks. Defend your name. Use humor, use disdain, or, if necessary, create your own spectacle to reclaim the narrative. But never let an attack on your reputation go unanswered. It is the fortress that protects you. Without it, you are exposed to every attack from every direction. Law 6. Court attention at all cost. Guarding your reputation is essential. But for a reputation to exist at all, you must first be seen. You must first be known. In the grand theater of power, the worst fate is not to be slandered or criticized. The worst fate is to be ignored. Everything is judged by its appearance. What is unseen counts for nothing. You must stand out. You must make yourself a magnet for the eyes of others. At the beginning of your career, you must attach your name and reputation to a quality, an image, that sets you apart from the crowd. It is better to be attacked, to be controversial, than to be a part of the bland, forgotten majority. P.T. Barnum understood this better than anyone. He was attacked in the press constantly. He was called a huckster, a fraud, a purveyor of cheap tricks, and he welcomed it. He knew that every article, even a negative one, kept his name on people's lips. He created mysteries, staged controversies, and made himself a figure of constant public fascination. He understood that attention of any kind is the lifeblood of influence. Being ignored is a form of death. So how do you court attention without appearing desperate or foolish? Surround your name with the sensational, the scandalous even. Create an air of mystery. Be deliberately enigmatic, hinting at things but never fully explaining. Make your actions and your persona difficult to categorize. People are drawn to puzzles. Be one. If you find yourself in a bland, crowded profession, adopt a signature style, a way of dressing, a unique hobby, a controversial opinion, something that breaks the pattern and makes you memorable. This is not a call for shameless self-promotion. It is a strategic recognition that in a crowded world, the spotlight does not find you by accident. You must guide it. You must be willing to be different, to be talked about, to be noticed. Because once all eyes are on you, you have the power to direct their gaze wherever you wish. Law 7. Get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. Once you have the world's attention, you need to deliver results. You need to appear as a paragon of efficiency and brilliance. But no one, not even the most talented, can do it all alone. The world runs on the energy of others. The wise person learns to harness it. This law feels particularly ruthless. It grates against our modern ideas of teamwork and shared success. But Greene asks us to look at the world pragmatically. Your time and energy are finite. If you exhaust yourself with the grunt work, you will have no energy left for the grand vision. For the strategic thinking, for the politics of power, you must learn to stand on the shoulders of others. Find people with the skills, the creativity, and the energy that you lack. Use their efforts to further your own cause. This is the way of all great leaders and entrepreneurs. They don't build the car. They have the vision for the car, and they find the best engineers to build it. But the second half of the law is the critical part. Always take the credit. Your name, your reputation is what matters. It is the brand that you are building. If you allow others to attach their names to your successes, your power becomes diluted. You become just one part of a team, rather than the visionary leader. Thomas Edison was a genius, but his greatest genius was not in invention. It was in recognizing and harnessing the genius of others. His laboratory at Menlo Park was one of the first R&D labs, filled with brilliant minds. They did much of the painstaking work. But Edison was the director, the synthesizer, and the face of every single breakthrough. He understood that the public needs a single, heroic name to attach to a great achievement. He ensured that name was his. This isn't about stealing in a petty sense. It's about being the conductor of the orchestra. The conductor doesn't play a single instrument, but the music cannot happen without their vision and direction. And when the audience applauds, they applaud the conductor. So, learn to delegate. Learn to find talent. But never let yourself be seen as just another worker. Be the one whose name is synonymous with the final brilliant result. This makes you seem like a miracle worker, a fountain of success, and people will flock to be a part of your next project. Law 8. Make other people come to you. Use bait if necessary. You are building your reputation, or using the work of others. But power is also about control. And you are most in control when you are on your own turf, playing by your own rules. The person who is always reacting, always going to others, is the one who is losing. When you force the other person to act, you are the one in control. It is always better to make your opponent come to you, abandoning their own plans in the process. This is a fundamental shift in posture. The aggressive person, the one who is always initiating, often thinks they are in control. But their actions are predictable. They are spending their own energy. The truly powerful person is the one who sits back, lures their opponent in, and then springs their trap. The world is full of impatient people. They will rush into your territory if you give them the right reason. That reason is the bait. The master manipulator Talleyrand, who served Napoleon, understood this perfectly. When Napoleon was furious with him, he would not go to the emperor and apologize. He would wait. He knew Napoleon's impatience would eventually force the emperor to seek him out. And in that moment, when Napoleon came to him, the power dynamic shifted. The one seeking out the other is the one who is in need. The one who is sought out holds the cards. What is the bait? It can be anything. The promise of financial gain. The appeal to vanity. The stirring of a powerful emotion like fear or greed. The creation of a puzzle that your opponent feels compelled to solve. In a negotiation, if you make the other side travel to your office, you have already won a small psychological victory. You are on your home ground. They are the visitor. You control the environment, the timing, the flow of the meeting. Learn to master your own emotions, especially your impatience. Develop the art of sitting back and waiting. Angle the lure that appeals to your opponent's specific weakness and let them entangle themselves. It's a spider that thrashes about catches nothing. The spider that waits patiently eats. Law 9. Win through your actions, never through argument. Oh. So you have lured your opponent to you. Now you must triumph. Oh. Your instinct might be to debate, to prove your point with logic and rhetoric, to win the argument. But this is a fool's victory. Any momentary triumph you think you have gained through argument is a Pyrrhic victory. The resentment and ill will you stir up is stronger and lasts longer than any temporary change of opinion. When you argue with someone, you are questioning their intelligence. You are implying that their beliefs, which are tied to their ego, are wrong. Even if you win the point, you have hurt their pride. And a person whose pride is hurt will seek revenge, subtly or openly. You have not convinced them. You have created a silent enemy. Power is not found in scoring verbal points. It is found in demonstrating results that no one can argue with. When Michelangelo finished his masterpiece, the David, the mayor of Florence, Piero Soderini, came to inspect it. Soderini, a man who fancied himself a great art connoisseur, declared that the statue was magnificent, but the nose was a little too thick. The artists and workers around Michelangelo were furious at this arrogant critique. But Michelangelo knew arguing was pointless. He gestured for Soderini to look up, climbed the scaffolding, and took his chisel in one hand. In the other, he secretly palmed some marble dust. He then pretended to tap lightly at the nose, letting the dust fall as he worked. He never touched the statue. After a few moments, he turned to the mayor and said, "Look at it now." Soderini replied, "I like it better. You have given it life." Michelangelo won his point not by insulting the mayor's intelligence, but by creating a demonstration that allowed the mayor to save face. The result was there for all to see. Let your work speak for itself. If you want to prove your new business strategy is better, don't debate it in a conference room. Build a small, successful prototype and show the results. If you want to prove you're a better leader, don't talk about it. Lead your team to a victory that is undeniable. Actions and demonstrations are visceral. They are seen and felt. Words are just air. Let others exhaust themselves in arguments. You will be too busy achieving results that make all arguments irrelevant. Law 10. Infection. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. As you move through life achieving your victories, you will attract people. Some will be allies, some enemies. But there is a third type, far more dangerous than any open enemy. They are the infectors. You can die from someone else's misery. Emotional states are as infectious as diseases. There are people in this world who are magnets for misfortune, not because of fate, but because of their own destructive patterns, their chronic complaints, their poor decisions. They are in a perpetual state of crisis, and they radiate this instability outwards. They are emotional black holes. You may feel sorry for them. You may feel a noble desire to help them. This is a dangerous impulse. In trying to lift them up, you will find they are pulling you down. Their endless needs will drain your time and resources. Their emotional turmoil will infect your own psyche. Their bad luck will mysteriously start to become your own. Consider the infamous Lola Montez, a 19th century dancer and courtesan. She was beautiful and charming, and powerful men were drawn to her like moths to a flame. But she was a carrier of chaos. She embroiled King Ludwig of Bavaria in such a scandal that it led to a revolution and cost him his throne. She attached herself to other famous, successful men, and one by one, their careers and lives fell into ruin. She wasn't just unlucky. She was a source of infection. You know these people in your own life? It's the friend who's always in a drama, always the victim, always calling you with a new catastrophe. The colleague who complains endlessly, seeing only problems and never solutions, poisoning the morale of the entire office. You must be ruthless in identifying and quarantining these individuals. Do not argue with them. Do not try to change them. Simply associate less. Create distance. Let their storm rage, but make sure it rages far from your shores. Your emotional and mental energy is your most precious resource. Protect it. Associate with the happy, the fortunate, the successful. Their positive energy is just as infectious. Gravitate toward the light and let the dwellers in darkness find other victims for their misery. Law 11. Learn to keep people dependent on you. You've distanced yourself from the infectors. You are building a circle of the successful and the stable. But how do you maintain your position of power within this circle? How do you ensure you are never cast aside, never seen as disposable? To maintain your independence, you must make others dependent on you. The more you are relied on, the more freedom you have. This is not about being a tyrant. It is about becoming the linchpin. It's a person whose unique skill, whose irreplaceable knowledge, whose web of connections is so vital that others would be lost without it. If your power rests solely on your title boss, manager, leader, then you are vulnerable. Titles can be taken away. But if your power rests on a skill that only you can provide, you are indispensable. The great artists of the Renaissance like Michelangelo and Titian understood this. They weren't just painters, cultivated a relationship with their patrons where they were also advisors, companions, and sources of intelligence. They made themselves so essential to the life of the court that their patrons couldn't afford to lose them. They created a dependency that went far beyond simply producing art. So how do you create this elegant dependency? First, possess a talent that is unique and difficult to replace. Master a skill so thoroughly that you become the only person people think of for that particular task. Second, never teach anyone else everything you know. If you can be easily replaced by your student, you have made yourself obsolete. Keep some of your secrets, some of your techniques, to yourself. Let there always be a part of your craft that remains a mystery. Make people feel that without you, they would lose a crucial piece of their success. They may not love you, but they will not get rid of you. True power lies not in being liked, but in being needed. When they are dependent on you for their fortune, they will give you the freedom to pursue your own. Law 12. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. You are now becoming indispensable. But people can resent dependency. They can feel trapped. To mask your maneuvers and to lull your future opponents into a state of trust, you need a softer, more subtle tool. A tool that bypasses their cynical minds and speaks directly to their emotions. One sincere and honest move will cover over dozens of dishonest ones. Open-hearted gestures of honesty and generosity bring down the guard of even the most suspicious people. We live in a cynical world. We expect selfishness. We are constantly on guard against the motives of others, says your advantage. When you make a move that appears genuinely selfless, it is so unexpected, so disarming, that it creates an opening in the other person's armor. A single, well-timed gift, a moment of calculated honesty where you reveal a supposed weakness. These acts of kindness are not random. They are strategic weapons. Count Victor Lustig was one of the most brilliant con men in history. His most famous feat was selling the Eiffel Tower for scrap metal twice. How did he convince seasoned businessmen to fall for such an absurd scam? Through selective honesty? During the negotiations, he would create small moments where he seemed incredibly noble. He would confess to a minor, irrelevant mistake to seem transparent. His most powerful move was to give the appearance of being a scrupulous, if corrupt, official. This apparent honesty was the key that unlocked their greed and suspended their disbelief. The key is selective. It must be a single, notable act. If you are honest all the time, it is not a tool. If you are dishonest all the time, you are just a common liar. But a single surprising act of generosity or truth-telling can melt the heart of your most hardened skeptic. It is the Trojan horse, a beautiful gift that makes people willingly open their gates to you. Once inside their walls, you can do as you please. Law 13. When asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude. Your Trojan horse has worked. You are inside the gates. But you will inevitably reach a point where you need active help, a concrete favor from an ally, or even a superior. Your instinct might be to remind them of your past assistance, or to appeal to their sense of compassion. This is almost always a mistake. The world is not a sentimental place. Gratitude is a heavy burden, and most people will try to avoid it. Mercy is fleeting and unreliable. If you want someone to do something for you, you must forget your own needs and focus entirely on theirs. What is in it for them? This requires you to study the person you are approaching. What do they crave? Is it wealth? Is it status? Is it a chance to look good in front of their own boss? Is it a way to solve a problem that has been plaguing them? Do not talk about the past. The help you gave someone last week is forgotten today. Do not talk about justice or fairness. Talk about mutual profit. The ancient Athenians, when asking for help from the Spartans, didn't talk about past favors or the right thing to do. They knew the Spartans were cold and practical, so they framed their request in terms of Spartan self-interest. They painted a vivid picture of how a Persian victory would create a powerful and hostile empire right on Sparta's doorstep, a direct threat to their security and way of life. The Spartans, seeing the clear advantage to themselves, agreed to help. Before you ask for anything, do your homework. Cover the other person's motivations, their needs, their selfish desires. Frame your request in a way that makes it seem like they are the primary beneficiary. Make it sound like by helping you, they are actually doing themselves a great favor. People are drowning in their own problems and desires. If you want their help, you must show them how your request is a life raft for them. Law 14. Pose as a friend, work as a spy. Appealing to self-interest requires knowing what that self-interest is. To do that, you need information. You need to know what people are thinking, what their weaknesses are, what their secret plans might be. But people guard this information carefully. They will not give it to you if they see you as a rival. Knowing about your rival is critical, but it's not enough to rely on hired spies, who may be unreliable or even act as double agents. The best information comes from your own reconnaissance. And the best way to conduct that reconnaissance is under the cover of polite, friendly conversation. At a social gathering, in a casual chat by the coffee machine, people let their guard down. They want to seem friendly and open. Hey, this is your opportunity. While you are smiling and sharing harmless pleasantries, you are actually probing. You are listening. Ask indirect questions. Get them to talk about their work, their childhood, their opinions on others. People love to talk about themselves. Listen for the cracks in their composure. the topics that make them emotional, the names they mention with envy or with fear. Become a master at reading nonverbal cues. A flicker of an eye, a forced smile, a hand that clenches when a certain subject is raised. These are tells. These are windows into their true intentions. The master spy is not the person in a trench coat. It is the person who can sit across from you at dinner, make you feel like the most interesting person in the world, and walk away knowing your deepest anxieties and ambitions. You can even use a technique of feigned confidence. Reveal a piece of false but plausible secret information about yourself. This gesture of trust will often compel them to respond with a genuine secret of their own. It's a trade, but only you know that your currency was counterfeit. In the game of power, knowledge is everything. And the most valuable knowledge is gathered not in formal interrogations, but over a friendly glass of wine. Law 15. Crush your enemy totally. Your spying has revealed a threat. An enemy, not just a rival, but someone who is actively working against you. You have engaged them, and you have won a victory. The temptation now is to be merciful, to show your greatness by allowing them to surrender with dignity. It is a grave and often fatal mistake. All great leaders since Moses have known that a feared enemy must be crushed completely. More is lost through stopping halfway than through total annihilation. An enemy who is left wounded but alive is like a snake you have only stepped on. It will not be grateful for your mercy. They will be filled with a burning desire for revenge. They will wait. They will recover. They will learn from their mistakes. When they strike again, they will do so with more venom and cunning than before. The embers of their hatred will smolder in the dark, waiting for the right moment to flare up and consume you. The history of power is written by those who understood this law. When you have an enemy, you cannot afford to think in terms of compassion. You must think in terms of survival. You must remove not only their ability to harm you, but their will to harm you. This doesn't always mean physical destruction. In the modern world, it means crushing their spirit, their reputation, their base of support. Isolate them from their allies. Expose their hypocrisy so thoroughly that no one will trust them again. Bankrupt their resources. Make the cost of opposing you so absolute that no one dares to follow in their footsteps. Your mercy will be seen as weakness. Your hesitation will be seen as an opportunity. When you are fighting for your position, for your survival, there is no middle ground. There is victory and there is oblivion. Do not leave a single glowing ember, for it is from that ember that your own funeral pyre will be lit. Law 16. Use absence to increase respect and honor. You have crushed your enemies. Your power is secure. But now, a new danger emerges. Overexposure. The more you are seen and heard from, the more common you appear. Your value begins to decrease. This is the law of scarcity. What is rare is valuable. What is ever present is taken for granted. If you are always around, always available, people become overly familiar with you. Your flaws become more visible. Your mystique evaporates. You become just another piece of the furniture. But if you withdraw at the right moment, you create a void. People will talk about you. They will wonder where you are and what you are doing. Your absence makes you seem more powerful, more important. When you return, you are seen with fresh eyes. Your presence has more impact. The great sorcerer of ancient times would not live in the village. He lived in a cave on the mountain. You had to make a journey to see him. That distance created his aura of power. Once you have established your position, learn to pull back. Let others fight the petty battles in the trenches. He's seen less often, and only at important moments. This makes your appearances seem like royal visits. This applies even in relationships. The lover who is too available, who is always calling, always present, loses their allure. The one who maintains a degree of independence, who has their own world, who creates a space for the other to miss them, is the one who holds the power of fascination. Circulate, be seen, establish your reputation. But then, learn the art of disappearance. For it is in your absence that your legend will truly grow. Law 17. Keep others in suspended terror. Cultivate an air of unpredictability. Your calculated absence has built your mystique. When you do appear, your actions must reinforce this aura of power. Humans are creatures of habit. They take immense comfort in the predictable behavior of others. This is a vulnerability you must exploit. The man who is predictable is easy to control. His opponents know his patterns. They can anticipate his moves and prepare for them. He's like the tiger in the cage, pacing back and forth along the same worn path. But the man who is deliberately unpredictable keeps everyone off balance. He is a force of nature, like a sudden storm or an earthquake. His actions seem to have no consistency, no logical pattern. This creates a state of low-grade fear and confusion in those around him. Since they cannot guess what you will do next, they are forced to be constantly on the defensive. They will exhaust themselves trying to explain your moves to find a pattern where none exists. This uncertainty gives you the initiative. The chess grandmaster Bobby Fischer was a master of this law. He didn't just play the board, he played the man. Against the Soviet champion Boris Spassky, he behaved with maddening unpredictability, complained about the cameras, the chairs, the lighting. He would make an opening move that was completely out of character, created an atmosphere of psychological chaos that rattled the logical machine like Spassky to his core. Spassky wasn't just beaten by Fischer's chess moves, he was dismantled by his unpredictability. Do something that doesn't seem to fit your normal pattern. If you are known for being frugal, make a sudden, lavish display of generosity. If you are known for being mild-mannered, display a calculated flash of temper. These occasional, unpredictable acts will make people wary of you. They will never feel they have you figured out. They will grant you a respect that borders on fear. And in the game of power, a little fear is far more useful than a lot of comfortable familiarity. Law 18. Do not build fortresses to protect yourself. Isolation is dangerous. Your unpredictability has made you feared and respected. A natural instinct now might be to withdraw, to protect yourself from the plots and envy of others by building a fortress around yourself, literal or metaphorical.
No.
You cut off contact. You trust only a tiny inner circle. You feel safe. But this feeling is an illusion. The fortress that seems to protect you becomes your prison. When you isolate yourself, you cut yourself off from the most valuable commodity in the world. Information. You no longer hear the whispers in the hallways. You no longer sense the shifting currents of opinion. You become deaf and blind to the plots being hatched just outside your walls. Your tiny inner circle becomes your only source of reality, and this is incredibly dangerous. They will filter information to please you. They will hide bad news. They will develop their own resentments and conspiracies in the claustrophobic atmosphere of the court. You become a prisoner of your own protectors. The first emperor of China, in his later years, became obsessed with his own safety and immortality. He built a fortress of paranoia around himself. He communicated through a series of intermediaries, and no one knew his true whereabouts. He thought he was safe. But in his isolation, he lost his grip on the empire. The moment he died, his powerful dynasty collapsed into chaos, because he had lost all connection to the people and the realities of his kingdom. Power depends on circulation. Like blood, it must flow. You must be out in the world, on the streets, in the salons, at the parties. This is where you gather intelligence. This is where you sense shifts in the political landscape, so where you find new allies and spot new enemies. Force yourself to be social, even when you don't feel like it. Mingle with people from all levels of the hierarchy. Keep your lines of communication open and varied. The fortress offers the illusion of safety, but the reality of a slow, blind death. The open field is dangerous, yes, but it is also where you can see the enemy coming. Law 19. Know who you're dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person. You are back in the world, circulating, gathering information. You are interacting with countless people. In this complex dance, you will inevitably step on some toes. You will play tricks. You will outmaneuver rivals. But you must be incredibly careful in choosing your targets. The world is full of different kinds of animals, and offending the wrong one can be your undoing. There are many different types of people in the world, and you can never assume that everyone will react to your strategies in the same way. Some will be timid, and you can push them around. Some will be naive, and you can easily deceive them. But others are wolves in sheep's clothing. Or worse, they are snakes with long memories and a bottomless capacity for revenge. A minor offense, a small swindle, a public slight that you forget about in a day could be taken by this type of person as a mortal insult. They will not show their anger. They will not argue. They will simply wait. And they will dedicate their lives to your destruction, often in a way that is wildly disproportionate to your original crime. Never judge people by their outward appearance. The quiet, unassuming person may be the most dangerous of all. The one with nothing to lose is capable of anything. Before you engage in any maneuver, study your mark. This is the culmination of all your spying. Do not rely on your instincts. Rely on concrete intelligence. Find out about their past. Are they litigious? Do they hold grudges? Are they known for their pride? If you sense you are dealing with a snake, it is far better to let them be. Do not try to deceive them. Do not offend them, even accidentally. The small victory you might gain is never worth the risk of a long, drawn-out, and potentially fatal vendetta. Know your victim. It is as important as knowing yourself. Law 20. Do not commit to anyone. You've learned to be cautious, to choose your targets wisely. But the greatest source of power comes from mobility, from freedom. The moment you commit firmly to one side, one cause, or one person, you lose that freedom. You become a tool in their game. It is the fool who always rushes to take sides. By committing to another person or cause, you surrender the initiative. You are now bound by their fortunes, their mistakes, their enemies. Your power is no longer your own. The person who remains independent, who floats above the fray, is the one who holds the true power. When two sides are quarreling, they will both try to win you over. They will court you, offer you gifts, reveal their secrets. By refusing to commit, you make yourself the master of them both. They are competing for your favor, and you can play one against the other. Queen Elizabeth I of England was the master of this law. For decades, she was the most eligible bachelorette in Europe. The kings of France and Spain both vied for her hand in marriage. She encouraged both, flirted with both, but committed to neither. Her refusal to take a side kept her enemies divided and kept England safe. She turned her independence into her greatest weapon. When people press you for your commitment, for your opinion, for your allegiance, do not be rude, but be evasive. Show interest, but remain non-committal. Let them feel that you are attainable, but never let them actually possess you. This makes you a prize to be won. You maintain your autonomy. You're the one who chooses rather than the one who is chosen. And when the time comes to finally act, you can join the side that offers you the most, or, even better, the side that is most likely to win. Retain your freedom of movement, and you will always be in a position of power. Law 21. Play a sucker to catch a sucker. Seem dumber than your mark. You are maintaining your independence, observing the field. People may begin to see you as cunning, as intelligent. This can be a disadvantage. People are wary of someone who is smarter than they are. They become guarded. To lower their defenses, you must sometimes disguise your own intelligence. No one likes to feel stupider than the next person. The victim you are trying to deceive must believe that they are the smarter one. If they suspect you have a sharp mind, they will become suspicious of your every move. But if you appear slightly clumsy, a little naive, or even a bit dim-witted, their own sense of superiority will blind them. They will feel so confident in their ability to outwit you that they won't see the trap being laid right at their feet. This is not about acting like a complete idiot. It's about letting other people feel smart. Ask questions you already know the answers to. Make a minor, calculated mistake that they can correct. Not in agreement with their opinions, even if they are foolish. Your targets will be so busy basking in the glow of their own perceived brilliance that they will miss the subtle cues. The hidden motives, the larger strategy you are deploying, they will underestimate you at every turn. When you finally make your move, their shock and confusion will be total. Let them think they are the puppet master. A person's vanity is the most powerful anesthetic. While they are lost in self-congratulation, you will be quietly pulling their strings. Law 22. Use the surrender tactic. Transform weakness into power. But what happens when you are not the one laying the trap? What happens when you are outmaneuvered, when your opponent is stronger, when defeat seems inevitable? Your instinct is to fight to the bitter end, to go down in a blaze of glory. This is ego, not strategy. When you are weaker, never fight for honor's sake. Choose surrender instead. Surrender gives you time to recover, time for your enemy to grow complacent, time for circumstances to change. By resisting, you exhaust your resources. You satisfy your enemy's desire for a victory, and you are annihilated. By surrendering, you frustrate them. You deny them the satisfaction of a bloody triumph. This is not a passive act. It is a strategic retreat. While you are feigning compliance, You are observing. You are learning your conqueror's weaknesses. You are waiting for their power to wane, as all power eventually does. The act of surrender can be a powerful tool of manipulation. It lulls your opponent into a sense of security. They believe they have one. They will become arrogant, careless. This is the moment you have been waiting for. Think like the reed in the wind. Bending does not mean breaking. It is a way of preserving your strength for a future fight. It gives you the space to regroup, to re-strategize, and to wait for the perfect moment to rise again. He who fights and runs away lives to fight another day. He who surrenders and waits lives to see his enemy's downfall. Law 23. Concentrate your forces. You have survived. You have preserved your strength. Now it is time to rebuild, to go on the offensive, but your resources may be limited. The temptation is to spread your efforts thin, to try and achieve many things at once. This leads to mediocrity in all of them. Power and energy are always conserved. You only have a finite amount. If you spread your attention across many different problems, you will solve none of them. Intensity defeats extensity every time. Find your single, most important objective, your center of gravity. Find the one source of power, the one venture, the one skill that will yield the greatest results. And then you must focus all of your energy, all of your attention, all of your resources onto that single point. Like a magnifying glass focusing the sun. The Rothschilds built their immense fortune by understanding this principle. They did not dabble. They concentrated their vast financial power on a single critical target at a time, achieving total dominance before moving on to the next. This applies to your mind as well. In a world of endless distractions, the ability to focus deeply on one thing is a superpower. Do not be the dilettante who knows a little about everything. Be the master who knows everything about one important thing. What is the one skill that, if you mastered it, would change everything for you? What is the one project that, if it succeeded, would make all your other goals easier? Find that point of concentration. Shut out the distractions. Say no to the 100 other good ideas so you can say yes to the one great one. A deep mind yields more gold than 1,000 shallow pits. Law 24. Play the perfect courtier. You have concentrated your forces and achieved success. This will inevitably bring you into the orbit of the powerful, the modern-day royal court of the corporate office. The political arena, the world of high finance. This is a treacherous world, governed by its own unspoken rules. To survive and thrive here, you must master a new and subtle art. The world of the court is a civilized jungle. All is judged on appearances, on grace, on strategic politeness. The courtier thrives in this world where everything revolves around power and political dexterity. The laws of the courtier are timeless. First, avoid ostentation. Do not show off your brilliance too much. It creates silent enemies. Be elegant, not gaudy. Second, practice nonchalance. Make your achievements seem effortless. If people see the sweat and toil and cunning it took, they will be less impressed and more resentful. Be a master of indirect communication. Never criticize your superiors directly. Instead, use stories, analogies, or praise of a third party to make your point. Be a source of pleasure. People are drawn to those who make them feel good. Be charming, be a good listener, and radiate a positive, confident energy. Never be the bearer of bad news. Let others deliver the unpleasant messages. Associate yourself only with the pleasant, and above all, master your emotions. Never show anger, frustration, or envy. The court is a stage, and you are always performing. The path of the courtier is a tightrope walk. You must be subservient, but not sycophantic. You must be clever, but not seen as a threat. You must be all things to all people, without losing your own center. It is an art form, and those who master it will find that all doors open to them, as if by magic. They will wield immense power, all while appearing to be nothing more than a humble, helpful servant. Law 25. Recreate yourself. You have mastered the court. You have learned to play a role. But a role can become a cage. The world will try to define you, to give you a character based on your past, your family, your first impressions. You must reject the role that society tries to assign to you. Do not accept the roles that society foists on you. You are not a lump of clay to be molded by others. You are the sculptor. You must take control of your own identity and forge it into a work of art. Recreating yourself is the ultimate power. It means consciously choosing your character, your style, your persona. It means understanding that the self is not a fixed thing, but a fluid creation. Be the master of your own image rather than letting others define it for you. This is a form of theater. You create a character that is memorable, that commands attention, that has a dramatic flair. Julius Caesar was more than a brilliant general. He was a brilliant self-creator. He understood that power required a dramatic persona. He carefully crafted his image as a man of the people, a fearless warrior, and a magnanimous leader. He was always on stage and he never broke character. First, you must be self-aware. Understand the materials you have to work with, your strengths, your weaknesses. Then, you must have a vision for what you want to become. And finally, you must have the discipline to perform that role consistently until the mask becomes the face. This is not about being fake. It is about being the author of your own story. You are the playwright, the director, and the lead actor in the drama of your own life. Do not give that power to anyone else. Law 26. Keep your hands clean. You have created a powerful and compelling persona. This image is a precious asset. It must be protected from the dirty, messy realities of power. There will be times when unpleasant things must be done. Mistakes will be made. But you must never be seen as the direct cause. You must seem a paragon of civility and efficiency. Your hands are never soiled by mistakes and nasty deeds. To achieve this, you must master two techniques: the use of the cat's paw and the scapegoat. The cat's paw is someone who does your dirty work for you. There will be times when you need to coerce, deceive, or harm a rival. It is always best to have someone else do this for you. Find a willing intermediary. When their work is done, they are the ones who get the blame, while you appear to have had no part in it. Your reputation remains spotless. The scapegoat is for when things go wrong on their own. Mistakes are inevitable. When a plan fails, do not take the blame yourself and ask for forgiveness. This makes you look weak and incompetent. Instead, you must find a convenient scapegoat, an outside enemy, a disloyal subordinate, the unforeseen circumstances. This seems cynical, but it is about the preservation of appearances, which is the lifeblood of power. The leader who is constantly apologizing, constantly associated with failure, will lose the confidence of their followers. The leader who appears to be always successful, always one step ahead of misfortune, will be seen as blessed by the gods. Let others be the messengers of bad news and the agents of unpleasantness. Let them be the ones whose names are attached to the failures. Your name must remain connected only to the good, the noble, and the successful. This pristine image will be a shield that no one can penetrate. Law 27. Play on people's need to believe to create a cult-like following. Your hands are clean, your image is powerful. You have followers, but you want more than just followers. You want devotees. You want a base of support that is not just loyal, but fanatical. To do this, you must tap into one of the most powerful human emotions, the desperate need to believe in something. People have an overwhelming desire to believe in something. In an age of doubt and anxiety, the person who can offer them a new cause, a new faith, a new vision for the future, will wield immense power. They will give you their money, their energy, and their lives. To create a cult-like following, you must follow a simple blueprint. First, keep it vague, but full of promise. Talk about grand ideas like transformation, enlightenment, or prosperity. Do not be bogged down by specifics or rational explanations. Enthusiasm is more important than logic. Second, create a spectacle. Humans are visual creatures. Use symbols, rituals, and grand gatherings to create a sense of belonging and excitement. This bypasses the rational mind and speaks directly to the emotions. Third, create an us versus them dynamic. Define an outside enemy, a scapegoat the unbelievers, the establishment the skeptics. This unites your group and gives them a shared sense of purpose. Fourth, set up a hierarchy. Give your followers ranks and titles. Make them feel they are part of an exclusive club, progressing toward a higher state. And finally, disguise your source of income. Make your wealth seem like proof of the validity of your ideas, not the result of their contributions. You are not just offering a product or a service. You are offering a new reality. You are selling a dream. In a world that often feels meaningless, the The person who can manufacture meaning is a king. Law 28. Enter action with boldness. You have your followers, you have a plan, but a plan is nothing without action. And the quality of your action is as important as the action itself. Hesitation, doubt, and caution are poisons that will cripple you before you even begin. If you are unsure of a course of action, do not attempt it. Your doubts and hesitations will infect your execution. Timidity is dangerous. It puts obstacles in your path that were not there before. It makes others lose confidence in you. Everyone admires the bold, no one honors the timid. When you act with boldness, you project an aura of confidence that can be intimidating and mesmerizing. Your opponents are often startled by your audacity. They are more likely to be cowed into submission than if you had approached them cautiously. A bold move can make you seem larger and more powerful than you actually are. The lies you tell must be bold. A small, timid lie is easily seen through, but a grand, audacious lie is often believed because its very scale is overwhelming. The favors you ask for must be bold. Asking for a little suggests you don't value yourself. Asking for the moon suggests you believe you deserve it, which in turn makes others believe it too. Think of Hannibal leading his army, complete with elephants, over the treacherous Alps to attack Rome. It was an insane, audacious plan. No one thought it was possible, and that is precisely why it worked. Its boldness stunned the Romans and threw their defensive plans into chaos. Hesitation creates gaps. Boldness closes them. When you act decisively. Any mistakes you make through boldness are easily corrected with more boldness. It is better to be audacious and wrong than to be timid and right. For the timid man is forgotten, while the bold man, even in failure, creates a legend. Law 29. Plan all the way to the end. Your boldness carries you forward. But boldness without a destination is just recklessness. It will carry you right over a cliff. The grandest actions are useless if they are not guided by a long-term vision. The ending is everything. Most people are trapped in the moment. They react to events as they happen. They solve one problem, only to be confronted by two more that they didn't anticipate. They are playing checkers. You must learn to play chess. Planning all the way to the end means having a clear vision of your ultimate goal. With this goal in mind, you can work backwards, planning the steps required to get there. This clarity will prevent you from getting sidetracked by emotions, by minor setbacks, or by the tempting but irrelevant opportunities that will arise. It gives you a sense of direction and purpose that is immensely powerful. While others are floundering, you will be moving with a calm, deliberate certainty. Bismarck's plan to unify Germany took years of patient, careful maneuvering. He fought wars when necessary, signed treaties when it suited him, and made speeches that confused everyone. But he never lost sight of the end goal. Each move was a step on a long road that only he could see clearly. When the end finally came, it seemed inevitable, but only because he had planned for it from the very beginning. By planning to the end, you can also decide when to stop. So many are ruined by victory. They achieve their goal, but they are intoxicated by success and push too far, creating new enemies and undoing all their hard work. A clear ending tells you when the prize is won, and it is time to consolidate your power. Don't let the pressure of the moment dictate your actions. Keep your eye on the horizon, know where you are going, and you will not be troubled by the bumps in the road. Law 30. Make your accomplishments seem effortless. You have planned your moves, you have acted with boldness, and you have achieved your goal. You must frame that achievement for the public. The way people perceive your success is as important as the success itself. Your actions must seem natural and executed with ease. All the toil, the practice, the clever tricks, and the late nights must be concealed. When you act as if you could do much more. When you make your accomplishments look easy, you create an aura of genius. People will believe you have a natural, God-given talent. This inspires a kind of awe that hard work alone can never achieve. If they see how hard you worked, how much you struggled, they might think they could do it too. Your power becomes demystified, but if it seems to flow from you without effort, your power appears magical, unattainable. Houdini never let the audience see him struggle. He made the impossible look routine. This was the source of his legend. He was practicing the art of sprezzatura, an Italian word for a certain kind of nonchalance of making difficult things look easy. Never reveal your methods. If you do, you are just teaching others how to do what you do. You are creating rivals. Keep your secrets. Let them wonder. Let them marvel at your results. But never show them the machinery behind the curtain. Practice your craft in private with tireless dedication. But when you perform on the public stage, do so with the grace and ease of the swan, never revealing the furious paddling beneath the surface. Law 31. Control the options. Get others to play with the cards you deal. You are seen as a genius. People are drawn to you. But they still cherish their sense of free will. They do not like to be ordered around. The best deceptions are the ones that seem to give the other person a choice. Coercion creates resentment. People will fight back, even if it's against their own interest, simply to assert their autonomy. The far more effective strategy is to offer them a choice that serves your purpose, no matter which option they select. You present them with 2 or 3 alternatives, making them feel they are in control of their own destiny. But each of those alternatives is, in fact, favorable to you. This is the illusion of choice. Heads I win, tails you lose. This is a tactic used by skilled negotiators, politicians, and parents everywhere. Frame the debate, guide the conversation, offer choices that lead to the same destination. If people are resisting your main proposal, offer them a worse alternative. They will often rush back to your original proposal, thinking they have won a concession. You can also use this to force the hand of the indecisive. By limiting their options to a narrow few, you push them toward a decision they might otherwise avoid. Always be the one who presents the menu. Let others choose from the dishes you have already selected. They will feel a sense of agency and control, never realizing they are walking down a path that you designed for them from the very beginning. Law 32. Play to people's fantasies. You have learned to control their choices. Now, you must learn to control their emotions, their deepest desires. The truth is often ugly and unpleasant. People do not want to hear it. They crave illusion, romance, and fantasy. The person who can provide this escape will hold the key to their hearts. Reality is a harsh place. Most people spend their lives dealing with disappointment and drudgery. They yearn for a world of adventure, of sudden wealth, of mystical transformation. Do not offer them the mundane truth. Offer them the dream. The truth is a blunt instrument. Fantasy is a seductive melody. Tap into the collective unconscious. What are the great, unfulfilled dreams of the people you are trying to influence? Do they dream of instant riches, a magical cure for their ills, a return to a golden age? Craft a narrative that promises a dramatic, positive change. Spin tales of far-off lands, of incredible discoveries, of a future where all their problems will be solved. The more outlandish the promise, the more compelling it can be, because it offers a greater escape from their drab reality. This is the secret of great advertisers, charismatic leaders, and successful seducers. They don't sell a product, they sell a transformation. They don't offer a policy, they offer a vision. They don't promise a date, they promise an adventure. The rational mind will see the holes in your fantasy, but you are not appealing to the rational mind. You are appealing to the yearning heart. Once you have captured their emotions with a powerful dream, they will follow you anywhere. Law 33. Discover each man's thumbscrew. You have them dreaming your dream, but dreams can fade. To maintain control, you need something more specific, more personal, a point of leverage. Every person has a weakness, a secret vulnerability, a hidden insecurity. This is their thumbscrew. Everyone has a weak spot. It might be an insatiable greed for money. It might be a secret, illicit pleasure. It might be a deep-seated insecurity about their intelligence or their social status. It might be their uncontrollable temper or their childlike need for approval. Once you find this weakness, it is a key that can unlock their will. You can use it to subtly guide them, to manipulate them, or, if necessary, to bring them to heel. How do you find it? You listen, you observe. Remember Law 14? Pose as a friend, work as a spy, pay attention to their unguarded gestures. What do they boast about? This often reveals an insecurity. What makes them emotional? This reveals what they truly care about. Look for the contrast between their words and their actions. Look for the helpless child within them. Every adult carries a piece of their childhood self, with its unmet needs and deep-seated fears. Find that, and you have found their emotional core. Once you know their thumbscrew, you must use it with skill. A gentle psychological pressure is often all that is needed. You can dangle the object of their desire in front of them, or you can hint at the exposure of their secret shame. This is a dangerous tool. Use it with caution. But know that until you understand the specific weakness of the person you are dealing with, you are always operating in the dark. Find their thumbscrew, and you can turn them in any direction you please. Law 34. Be royal in your own fashion. Act like a king to be treated like one. You understand the weaknesses of others, but you must also project your own strength. The way you carry yourself, the way you treat yourself, will determine how others treat you. If you act like a commoner, you will be treated like one. If you act like royalty, you will be treated like a king. People are overwhelmingly influenced by appearances. They will respond to the signals you send out. If your actions are timid and apologetic, they will assume you are of little importance and will walk all over you. But if you carry yourself with an air of dignity, confidence, and self-respect, they will assume you have a reason for it. They will see you as a person of substance. This is not about arrogance or ostentation. It is about an inner belief in your own value that radiates outward. Demand the best for yourself. Never accept second-rate treatment. Associate with people of quality. This creates a halo effect. People will assume you are a person of quality yourself. Be generous. A king is a giver. A magnanimous gesture, a noble act of forgiveness, a lavish gift, these are signs of power and abundance. They show you are above petty concerns. Your own self-respect is a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you believe you are destined for great things, others will begin to believe it too. You must place a high price on yourself, for the world will not offer you more than you ask for. Wear your crown, even if it is invisible to others. Soon enough, they will begin to see it too. Law 35. Master the art of timing. You act like a king. You have a plan. But the most brilliant plan and the most royal bearing are useless if the timing is wrong. Timing is the hidden dimension of power. It is an art that must be cultivated. There are 3 types of time that you must learn to recognize and control. First, there is a long time. This is the ability to be patient, to look to the horizon, to follow your long-term plans without being distracted by the temptations of the moment. You must wait for the right wave to form. Most people are trapped in the present. Your ability to see the future gives you a massive advantage. Second, there is force time. This is the ability to act with speed and decisiveness. When the opportunity suddenly presents itself, the perfect wave is here. You must paddle now with all your strength. Hesitation means the opportunity is lost forever. You must be able to recognize the right moment and seize it without a second thought. Finally, there is end time. This is the ability to bring things to a conclusion, the ability to finish the ride. So many projects, so many ventures, drag on endlessly because the leader lacks the focus and decisiveness to make the final push and bring it to a close. To master timing, you must first become an observer. Step back from the fray and see the patterns, the trends, the rhythms of events. Is the general mood one of panic? Then it is time to be calm and patient. Is the mood one of complacency? Then it is time to strike with speed. Never seem to be in a hurry. Hurrying betrays a lack of control over yourself and your time. Always seem patient, as if you know that everything will come to you eventually. This unnerves your opponents. You do not make the wave, but you can learn to see it coming, and you can be ready to ride it when it arrives. That is the art of timing. Law 36. Disdain things you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge. Even with perfect timing, there will be things that are beyond your reach. A promotion you didn't get, a person whose affection you cannot win. It's a petty problem that you cannot seem to solve. Acknowledging these small frustrations gives them power over you. It makes you seem weak. The more attention you pay to a problem, the more real and important it becomes. By acknowledging a petty rival, you give them legitimacy. By complaining about a situation you cannot change, you drain your own energy and make yourself look powerless. This is the lesson of the fox and the grapes. The fox's final act of disdain, pretending the grapes were sour, was his only way to save face and preserve a sliver of dignity. It is a powerful psychological maneuver. If there is something you want but cannot have, show nothing but contempt for it. Act as if it is beneath your notice. This will not only preserve your own psychological balance, but it will also infuriate the people or forces that denied you. Your indifference is a sign of your superiority. It is a subtle and powerful form of revenge. When you are attacked by a minor enemy, the worst thing you can do is engage with them. This elevates them to your level. The ultimate power move is to ignore them completely. Your silence, your lack of reaction, will be a source of immense frustration for them. It is as if you are saying, "You are so insignificant that you do not even register on my screen." Choose your battles. Do not get drawn into every skirmish. Focus your energy on what is important, on what you can control. For the small, irritating things that are beyond your power, the greatest weapon you have is the power of your own disdain. Law 37. Create compelling spectacles. You have learned to ignore the petty. Now, you must learn to magnify the grand. People are not moved by logic and reason alone. They are stirred by powerful images, by grand gestures, by overwhelming sensory experiences. Striking imagery and grand symbolic gestures create the aura of power. Everyone responds to them. Do not rely on words to make your case. Stage a spectacle. Spectacle engages the emotions and distracts the critical mind. It overwhelms the senses. It makes your power seem larger than life. It is a form of visual communication that is far more potent than any argument. When Louis XIV wanted to demonstrate his absolute power over the French nobility, he didn't just issue decrees. He built the Palace of Versailles, most magnificent, overwhelming spectacle in all of Europe. The sheer scale and beauty of the palace was a constant, undeniable statement of his power. The nobles were so mesmerized by the spectacle of court life that they forgot all about their plots against him. Use symbols that represent your values and your power. A logo, a particular color, a signature gesture. These visual cues will become associated with you and will reinforce your message on a subconscious level. Surround yourself with an air of grandeur. The way your office is decorated, the quality of your clothes, the elegance of the events you host, these things are not frivolous. They are part of the spectacle of your power. People want to believe in something larger than themselves. Let them believe in you. Dazzle them with visuals, and they will not notice what you are really doing. Law 38. Think as you like, but behave like others. You have created your spectacle. You stand out. But there is a danger in being too different, too unconventional in your everyday behavior. Flaunting your unusual ideas and your unorthodox ways will make people distrust you and see you as an outsider. You will surely be punished for your original thoughts if you make a show of them. The desire for social conformity is a powerful force. People resent those who seem to mock their traditions and their way of life. They will find a way to isolate and harm the person who makes them feel insecure about their own conventionality. It is always safer to blend in. Nurture your radical ideas, your unique vision, in private. But on the public stage, pay lip service to the common touch. Show respect for their traditions. Behave in a way that is familiar and unthreatening. The chameleon survives because it blends in with its environment. This is not a call to abandon your principles. It is a strategic recognition that you cannot convince people by insulting their way of life. You win them over slowly from the inside. Once you have established a position of power by seeming to be one of them, you will have a much greater platform from which to introduce your unconventional ideas. Think of it as a form of camouflage. You hide your intellectual superiority behind a mask of comfortable ordinariness. This allows you to observe, to plan, and to maneuver, without attracting unwanted attention or creating unnecessary enemies. Save your originality for the things that truly matter. For everything else, embrace the common touch. Law 39. Stir up waters to catch fish. You are blending in. You are patient. But sometimes patience is not enough. Sometimes your opponents are too calm, too hidden, too prepared. In these moments, you must be the one to throw the stone. You must create the disturbance that will reveal their true nature. Anger and emotion are strategically counterproductive. But if you can make your enemies angry while you remain calm, you gain a decided advantage. The angry man is blind, cannot see the consequences of his actions. He will overreact. He will make foolish mistakes. He will reveal his secret plans and his hidden weaknesses. His rage is the stone you throw into the water. So, how do you stir the waters? You can probe, make a subtle, ambiguous move that might be interpreted as an attack. Your opponent's reaction will tell you a lot about their intentions and their temperament. You can attack their ego. Find their point of greatest vanity, their intelligence, their reputation, their appearance, and give it a subtle, indirect poke. Their emotional outburst will be your reward. The key is that you must remain calm. You're the strategist, observing the chaos you have created. You are the fisherman, waiting for the panicked fish to swim into your net. Let them be the ones to lose their temper. Let them be the ones to overreact. In their emotional storm, you will find the clarity to see your path to victory. Law 40. Despise the free lunch. In the chaos you have created, opportunities will arise. Some will seem too good to be true. A sudden gift, an offer of help from an unexpected source, a free lunch. Your instinct might be to accept gratefully. This is the instinct of the mouse. What is offered for free is never free. It is always a trick. It is a Trojan horse. It comes with a hidden obligation, a psychological string attached. The free lunch is a favorite tool of the manipulator. It appeals to our greed and our desire for an easy path. By accepting a gift, you are placing yourself in the other person's debt. You will feel a subtle pressure to reciprocate, often in a way that is far more valuable than the original gift. Generosity is often a mask for a power play. The person who gives is placing themselves in a position of superiority. The person who receives is placed in the inferior position of a child. Be wary of anything that is offered for free. Learn to pay your own way. This preserves your independence. When you pay the full price for something, you are under no obligation to anyone. You are your own master. If you must accept a gift from a rival, understand that you are entering a game. You must either find a way to gracefully reciprocate and clear the debt, or you must be prepared for the favor that will eventually be asked of you. Be lavish with your own money. Generosity, when you are the one initiating it, is a sign of power. But be suspicious of the generosity of others. There is no such thing as a free lunch. There is only the bait in the trap. Law 41. Avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. You have paid your own way. You are building your own power. An opportunity may arise to take over a position from a great and successful predecessor. A legendary CEO retires, and you are offered the job. A brilliant leader steps down, and you are chosen to succeed them. This seems like a golden opportunity. In reality, it is a poisoned chalice. What happens first is always better and more original than what comes after. If you succeed a great man, you will be working in his shadow. Your every move will be compared to his. You will have to accomplish twice as much to be considered half as good. The legacy of your predecessor will be a ghost that haunts your every decision. If you follow his path, you will be seen as unoriginal. If you change his path, you will be seen as arrogant and disrespectful. It is a game you cannot win. It is far better to build your own power from scratch. Create your own position. Forge your own title. Build something that is yours from the foundation up. This way you are judged on your own merits. Your name is the first, not the second. If you must succeed a great leader, you must make a symbolic break with the past. Publicly denounce his methods. Change the names, the symbols, the routines. Create your own spectacle. You must kill the ghost of your predecessor before it kills your career. Do not be the son who is forever trying to fill his father's shoes. Be the one who makes his own shoes and walks his own path. Law 42. Strike the shepherd, and the sheep will scatter. You are forging your own path. But you may find your way blocked by a group, an organization, a cohesive team of rivals. Attacking the group as a whole is often a waste of energy. A group's power is rarely distributed evenly. It is almost always concentrated in one or two key individuals. Trouble can often be traced to a single, agitating source. A charismatic leader, a stubborn troublemaker, a key influencer. This person is the shepherd who holds the flock together. They're the glue that gives the group its cohesion and its morale. Do not waste your time trying to negotiate with the sheep. Do not get bogged down in fighting the symptoms of the problem. Go directly to the source. You must identify the shepherd. Then, you must isolate them. Cut them off from their base of support. Slander their reputation. Neutralize their influence. If you can remove the shepherd, either physically or psychologically, the flock will lose its direction and its will to fight. They will scatter. This is true in any social dynamic. In an office, there is always one person who is the heart of the opposition. In a rival company, there is one key visionary. In a family, there is one dominant personality. Find that person. That is your target. All other concerns are secondary. Do not be distracted by the noise of the flock. Aim for the shepherd, and the battle is already half won. Law 43. Work on the hearts and minds of others. You have scattered your enemies. You are consolidating your power. But power that relies on force and coercion is brittle and expensive. It requires constant vigilance. A much deeper and more lasting power comes from making people want to do what you want, comes from winning their hearts. Coercion works in the short term, but it creates a resentment that will eventually turn against you. Seduction is far more powerful. If you can seduce others into your way of thinking, they will become your loyal pawns. They will move on their own without you having to push them. How do you work on hearts and minds? You must first get outside of your own head and enter their spirit. See the world as they see it. Understand their individual psychology, their values, their prejudices. Then you must play on their deepest emotions. Target their feelings of love, of hate, of greed, of vanity. A person's emotions are a soft target, whereas their intellect is hard and defensive. Mirror their values. Show them that you share their beliefs, that you understand their struggles. This creates a powerful bond of sympathy. It will see you not as a manipulator, but as a kindred spirit. This is the art of soft power. It is about creating a legion of allies who follow you not because they have to, but because they want to. They will work for your cause with a passion and a creativity that you could never command with force. Do not be the one who pushes the boulder. Be the one who whispers to it and makes it want to climb the hill all by itself. Law 44. Disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect. You are working on their hearts and minds. But some people are too guarded, too cynical to be seduced. To deal with these opponents, you need a more disorienting tool. A tool that uses their own energy, their own strategy against them. You need a mirror. The mirror effect has two main applications. First, there is the neutralizing mirror. When you mirror what your opponents do, precisely and without emotion, you confuse and frustrate them. They cannot grasp your strategy because it is simply a reflection of their own. They feel mocked, but they cannot say why. They're fighting with a ghost. Second, there is the moral mirror. This is where you mirror their actions to teach them a lesson. You do to them what they have done to you. This makes them feel the true injustice of their own behavior. It is a powerful way of showing them the ugliness of their own actions, without having to preach or argue. The mirror effect is also a powerful tool for seduction. By mirroring someone's values, their moods, their language, you create a powerful sense of rapport. They see themselves in you, and people are always in love with themselves. The mirror is a weapon of psychological warfare. It unnerves your opponent because it gives them no new information to react to. They are shadowboxing with themselves. They will exhaust their energy, they will become paranoid, and they will likely make a critical mistake. Hold up a mirror to your opponent's psyche, and they will be too busy looking at themselves to see what you are really doing. Law 45. Preach the need for change, but never reform too much at once. You have disarmed your opponents. You are in a position to make real, substantive changes. Everyone understands the need for change in the abstract, but on a gut level, people are creatures of habit. They fear disruption. Too much innovation is traumatic. If you are new to a position of power, or if you are an outsider trying to build a base, you must show that you respect the old way of doing things. The past is a powerful force. Tradition, routine, and ritual give people a sense of comfort and security. If you make radical changes too quickly, you will create a sea of enemies. People will feel that their world is being turned upside down. They will resist you, not because your ideas are bad, but because the change is too sudden. So, preach the need for change, but make the change itself feel like a gentle improvement on the past. Use the language of tradition. Frame your reforms not as a revolution, but as a return to the original values. Give your new ideas old names. Make it seem as if you are simply clearing away the dust to reveal the beautiful, timeless foundation that was already there. Change is a slow and careful process. It is like boiling a frog. If you throw it into boiling water, it will jump out. But if you place it in cool water and slowly heat the pot, it will be cooked before it realizes what is happening. Be a revolutionary in your thinking, but a conservative in your presentation. This will allow you to transform the world without anyone even noticing. Law 46. Never appear to perfect. You have brought about your changes. You have been successful. You are admired. But a new danger arises from the very peak of your success, the danger of perfection. To seem to be without flaws, without weaknesses, is to invite a dangerous and powerful emotion from others, envy. Appearing better than others is always dangerous, but most dangerous of all is to appear to have no faults or weaknesses. Envy creates silent enemies. It is the most insidious of emotions. People will not admit they are envious of you. They will instead find a way to criticize your smallest mistake, to sabotage your work, to tarnish your reputation, all while smiling to your face. It is a smart move to occasionally display a defect, to admit to a harmless vice. This makes you appear more human, more approachable. It gives the envious a small, safe target for their arrows, and it distracts them from your more significant strengths. To deflect envy, you can also give credit to others for your success. Attributing your achievements to luck or to the help of your team makes your power seem less intimidating. Perfection belongs to the gods. To appear godlike is to invite a tragic fall. It is far wiser to remain on the earth with your fellow mortals, displaying just enough weakness to make your brilliance seem human. This will turn potential enemies into allies, and it will protect you from the green-eyed monster of envy, which has toppled more great men than any army. Law 47. Do not go past the mark you aimed for. In victory, learn when to stop. You have managed envy. You have reached your goal. You are victorious. In this moment of triumph, you will be tempted by adrenaline and emotion to keep pushing, to go further, to crush your opponents even more, to take more than you originally planned. This is the moment of greatest danger. The moment of victory is often the moment of greatest peril. In the heat of success, you can lose your sense of proportion. You can become arrogant. You push too far, and you create more enemies than you defeat. You overreach, and you stumble. Success can be intoxicating. It can cloud your judgment. This is why you must have a clear goal from the beginning, as we learned in Law 29. The goal is your anchor. It tells you when you have arrived. It tells you when to stop. Going past the mark you aimed for is a sign of being controlled by your emotions, not your reason. It is often driven by ego and a desire for revenge, victory. Be disciplined. Consolidate your gains. Be gracious to those you have defeated. This can turn former foes into future allies. The powerful person is the one who is in control of their own success. They are not carried away by it. They know the destination they planned for, and when they arrive, they have the wisdom and the strength to stop. Do not let victory be the cause of your downfall. Law 48. Assume formlessness. And so we arrive at the final law, the culmination of all the others, the ultimate form of power. You have learned to plan, to act, to retreat, to be bold, to be cautious. But your greatest enemy will always be predictability. Your greatest strength will be your ability to adapt. Power is fluid. The world is in constant flux. The strategy that worked yesterday will not work today. The enemy you face tomorrow will be different from the one you faced before. To be powerful, you must be as fluid and as formless as water. Water has no shape. It takes the shape of whatever contains it. It can be soft and gentle, or it can be a crashing, destructive force. It can never be grasped, never be held, never be broken. Do not bet on stability. Do not bet on lasting order. Everything changes. You must be able to change with it. This means being flexible in your thinking. Do not become a prisoner of your own habits or dogmas. Be willing to abandon a long-held belief if circumstances change. This means being mobile in your actions. Do not build a fortress that ties you to one place. Be able to move, to retreat, to attack from unexpected angles. This is the highest form of strategy, is the fusion of all the other laws. You are a courtier one day, a ruthless general the next. You are honest and then deceptive. You are bold and then cautious. You are not one thing. You are everything. You have no form that your enemy can attack, no pattern they can understand. You are a mystery. You are a force of nature. You are like water, and nothing can stand against the power of water for long. The 48 laws of power, they are a map of the world as it is, not as we wish it would be. A world of hidden currents, of subtle games, of human nature, in all its raw and beautiful and terrifying complexity. This knowledge is not a curse, it is a gift. It is not a call to become a monster, but a guide on how to protect yourself from them. It is a tool to help you navigate the treacherous waters of ambition, to understand the motives of those around you, and to finally take control, not of others, but of your own destiny. The game is always being played. Now, you know the rules. So, here we are, at the end of 48 chapters. We've walked through the courts of kings, the battlefields of generals, and the smoky backrooms of manipulators. We've seen the raw and sometimes brutal machinery of power laid bare. But what do you do with it all? When you close this book, or when this video ends, what happens next? Does this knowledge make you colder, more cynical, more fearful? Maybe you came to this book because you were hurt, because you were the one outshone by a colleague, because your trust was betrayed by a friend, because you felt like you were playing a game where everyone else knew the rules but you. You were the good person, the one who was honest and worked hard, and you kept finding yourself on the losing end, with that familiar, sinking feeling of confusion and quiet heartbreak. You wanted answers. You just wanted to understand why. If that's you, then you now know the most important secret of this book. This knowledge isn't meant to turn you into a monster. It's meant to teach you how to see the monsters. It's not a manual on how to be ruthless. It's a field guide to recognizing ruthlessness in others and in the systems we navigate every day. It gives a name to the invisible currents we've all felt. It's like learning a new language, the language of unspoken motives, or seeing a color you never knew existed. And that changes everything, not just how you work, but how you live, how you think, even how you love. It's not about using Law 15 to crush your partner, but it is about understanding that envy and insecurity are real, and that Law 1 never outshine the master, can apply even to the people we love if they feel diminished by our success. It's about navigating that with wisdom, not naivety. It's not about using Law 3, conceal your intentions, to be dishonest with your family. But it is about understanding that you don't owe everyone your every thought and every dream, and that protecting your inner world is a form of strength. The ultimate power this book offers isn't power over other people. It's the power that comes from self-possession. It's the power to no longer be a victim of your own emotional reactions, to feel that flash of anger, but to choose calmness, to feel that sting of envy, but to choose to understand it instead of acting on it, to see a manipulation coming, and to simply step aside without anger or fanfare because you recognize the pattern. It's not about becoming cold. It's about becoming calm. It's not about building walls. It's about finally knowing where your own boundaries are and having the quiet strength to defend them. This journey through the 48 laws is a profound and often uncomfortable one. And if it has resonated with you, if you've seen your own life in these stories, then you are not alone. This conversation doesn't have to end here. If this journey has meant something to you, a simple like is more than just a number. It's a quiet signal that you felt it too. And I truly want to hear from you. The comments are a space for our shared stories. Comment below with the one law that changed the way you see the world, or share a piece of your own story. Reading them helps us all learn. And finally, to continue this journey of understanding the deep patterns of our world together, I invite you to subscribe. We have many more maps to explore. Thank you for walking this path with me. Stay awake, stay aware, and be the author of your own story.